and welcome back to Financial Minds Meet the Experts. I'm your host, Jaime Agostino. In case you're new to listening to our show, this is where we're joined by financial industry experts to talk about topics, trends, and themes that credit union professionals need to know about. So today, let's talk FedNow. It was released on July 20th of this year. But what is it? How does it work? Joining me today is Andi Crockett, our product manager for Vizo Financial, to answer these very questions for us. So Andi, thank you so much for joining me. I believe this is the first time you've been on the podcast.
It is, Jaime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, since you're new, would you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself for our listeners?
Yeah, of course. I am obviously, as Jaime said, Andi Crockett. I live in Pennsylvania with my husband. We had a baby in March, and his name is Lawson. And we have 4 dogs. So just learning how to be a new mom.
All right. Well, congratulations again. All right.
Thank you.
I've got lots of questions, Andi. So let's get started. Could you first provide just a high-level overview of what the FedNow Service is? You know, there's a lot of confusion out there.
No problem at all. Yeah. So what the FedNow Service is the FedNow Service is a new payment rail for instant payments. It is available 24/7, 365. There is a credit push payment sent over the payment rail, and those payments are settled and the funds are available immediately or instantly, so available in seconds. It's crazy.
Okay. That is crazy. So how is the FedNow Service different than what the clearinghouse uses and they call theirs real-time payments?
So the main differences between the FedNow Service and real-time payments, well, they're both the instant payment rails. The FedNow Service is owned and operated by the Federal Reserve. And as you said, the RTP or real-time payments is owned and operated by the clearinghouse. With the FedNow Service, there is the FedLine network. That's where they access their account. There is also a master account for the credit union. In real-time payments, there is use of an RTP account. And then there are some differences with limits. So the FedNow Service at launch on the 20th of July, the limit for the service is $500,000, and there is a credit union default limit of $100,000. And then for real-time payments, the transaction limit is $1 million. Now, obviously, with both of those limits, they're something that the credit union can determine, what they would like to set their limits at based on their risk appetite and how they want to allow their members to send funds and what those limits would be for each transaction.
Okay. So what are some of the features and functionality that are included in the FedNow Service currently?
So I think the main thing that I would mention would be the connectivity profiles. So of course, there's going to be settlement for your transactions that are received and sent via the FedNow Service. Settlement is real-time gross settlement, so that is a transaction-by-transaction basis settlement. Receiving payments, these are all going to be credit push payments. So whether you're receiving or sending payments, they are all credits in or out of the payment rail.
All right. So what are the benefits to credit unions to use the FedNow Service?
There's several benefits for the FedNow Service. Some are speed and convenience, flexibility, operational efficiencies, consumer or customer satisfaction, and revenue. So as we said, these payments are settling in seconds. So that is speed and convenience. Obviously, that offers and lends to flexibility. the credit union members can send a payment, maybe their mortgage is due on the same day that they got paid. They're going to get that payment there on time. It's going to settle and arrive in instantly within seconds. So they don't have to be concerned or worry about their payment being there late for their mortgage. So that's just one example of how that can lend to also customer satisfaction. I feel a lot of this all goes hand in hand very often. So as far as operational efficiencies and revenue, the credit union also experiences benefits when it comes to instant payments and the FedNow service. Like I said, operational efficiencies and revenue are two of them. What are they going to charge their members for using the FedNow service, sending or receiving payments? Are they going to pass, fees to their member at all? Those are just some things that the credit union would want to look at. And as far as operational efficiencies, a lot of this is going to be an automatic, posting and receiving payments, sending payments type situation, because when you're receiving a payment, in order for it to be received instantly, it's going to need to post with the connections on the back end without manual intervention by the credit union staff.
Okay. You did give me the example as far as the mortgage payment, but, could you give me maybe some other examples or other use cases for FedNow and, and why credit unions would want to utilize this new instant payment rail?
Yeah, of course. So there are a lot of use cases for instant payments and faster payments in general. Some account to account examples would be bank to bank account transfers. So for me, I have, an example for that I use myself. I transfer money to one of my other accounts at a different bank because my mortgage payment is drawn from that account. I can send myself an instant payment to cover that automatic draft from that account to cover my mortgage. There are other person-to-person payments, so personal services or tips. So when I go to my hairdresser and she does my hair, and I'm actually going on Friday, I will Venmo her money, and send her an instant payment for her tip. And then you have other things like business to consumer, so commission payments, payroll, so on-demand gigs. You work today, you get paid today situations. There are so many use cases out there that you could take a look at. And I think a lot of people are excited about the potential for government to consumer payments, so tax refunds and unemployment payments, financial aid payments, and things like that. That would all be great to have those funds in your hands immediately. Anyone who is interested in looking into use cases, I would strongly encourage you visit the use case repository on the U.S. Faster Payments Council website. There are so many use cases out there and examples.
Great. And we'll include that link with the podcast. So if you could send that my way, I'll make sure that we attach that.
Absolutely.
So you were kind of talking about, the back end and the integration. So what integrations or systems are needed for a credit union to utilize FedNow?
Yeah, so there are some integrations that the credit union would need to think about when they're preparing for implementing the FedNow service. I think one of the main things that is the most important is speaking with your core processor. Your core processor is going to either be your direct connection to the Fed or your connection to Vizo Financial uses Aptus Solutions. So we are going to use that connection point to the Federal Reserve for instant payments for receiving and eventually sending. So it's all about talking to, your core provider, potentially your home banking or online banking provider, even your mobile application provider. We need to get those connections or those things started so that we can kind of start working on how we're going to interface using like APIs to connect to one another so that those payments can post instantly to member accounts and can be sent instantly as well.
All right. So you mentioned, Vizo Financial, is ready, but, how is Vizo Financial involved in this process of FedNow for credit unions?
So Vizo Financial is certified, for settlement with the Fed, and our connection point to the Fed for receive and eventually send is Aptus Solutions. So what would happen when an instant payment comes in to be received, to Aptus, that information would then be forwarded right to your core vendor or your core provider so that that item can be posted to your member's account. As far as settlement, it would be the same process. The item would come into Aptus and it would be forwarded to us for settlement, and receive as well. It would really just be a matter of those connections on the back end with either your service provider, or your core vendor is a service provider as well, but a lot of us just refer to them as core vendors. So so you would want to make sure that you're getting information from all of those avenues so that you can connect to the FedNow service as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. So, credit unions can reach out then to Vizo Financial and see if we've integrated with their core and have that
absolutely.
connection in place. Okay. All right. Great.
There are. Sorry, Jamie. There are a number of cores that they are working with right now. There are some interfaces that have been completed. I do encourage you to reach out if you are wondering if your core has been working with Aptus Solutions on this interface. And if they aren't, we can get them in touch.
Okay. All right, great. So then what would the implementation process look like for credit unions who decide they would like to use the FedNow service?
Yeah, so we, of course, the interface has to be completed before we can, really do, the hard work or the easy work, I guess you would say. Filling out the Fed forms is going to be the hardest thing, I think, at that point. But yeah, our implementation team is very great. Shout out to them. I used to be on the implementation team, so they are great. They will get everything completed, hopefully, for the credit union within 12 weeks. That is our time frame for an implementation. They will assist the credit union with filling out the Fed paperwork, or any other setup that is necessary, as well as training on how to use and look at the items for instant payments in our Zephyr EFT platform. All
right. Well, Andi, this has been a lot of great information. Any final thoughts for our listeners today?
Yeah, I think that it's always great to think about educational opportunities for instant payments in the FedNow service. One of the things that I always plug here is going to be looking at those FedNow operating procedures, potentially the Federal Reserve Operating Circular number 8. Vizo Financial has a wonderful educations and FAQ page for instant payments on our website. So any opportunity that you can take to learn more about the service and how it works is going to behoove your credit union to get on the cutting edge and stay competitive with everyone else there in the environment that we have today.
All right, great. Well, thank you for taking the time to demystify what the new FedNow service is. I really appreciate it. And just thank you for your time. So,
of course.
So this episode is brought to you by Vizo Financial's 2023 Financial Conference. Vizo Financial's 2023 Financial Conference, it's just around the corner, and the registration deadline is fast approaching as it is September 1st, 2023. The Financial Conference is Vizo Financial's biggest event of the year. This year, it will be September 13th through the 15th at the Omni Grove Park Inn in Asheville, North Carolina. During this event, we'll host expert speakers. I think Andi's going to be there, but we'll also have others from Truist, Raymond James, NAFQ, and so many more. They'll be presenting topics like investments, interest rate strategy, as well as provide you with an update on the economy, CECL, and regulation. Just tons of information. It's a great time to network with your credit union friends and also receive this top-notch education. So make sure you register today on Vizo Financial's website at www.vfccu.org. As always, thanks for listening.